2 ales coming right up. Hello, and welcome to the BRB. Please, have a seat. You're just in time for Tavern chatter.
So, when creating a character, do you start with a class that you're familiar with, or do you try to pick a new class? Do you try to pick a class you've never played before?
I usually try to play something new every time, be that subclass or class. Usually I try to play a class I haven't played before, but if it's one that I have played before, I'll try to find some different subclass to try out.
So you're always trying to mix things up, trying to get something new.
Yeah, try to find something new, keep it fun, keep it interesting.
Oh, I hate picking something new. I will stick between bards and monks all the way. I almost know all their stats inside out, so it makes character creation that much easier for me. It makes character design even easier. And picking something different is almost foreign to me.
But if you're picking something different, you have different roleplay opportunities, you can get different feels for different classes, see what feels best in a different party situation.
Ooh,
He doesn't want that.
I almost feel that the two classes I pick almost encompass all the roleplay that I would prefer. Got the person who likes to fight, and doesn't matter what class it is, I think you can choose a really, really good story and a really good personality from it. I feel like class doesn't really much matter.
So then, even though you're picking the same class, are you trying to mix up and try to pick a different personality type every time, or are you trying to stick with the same style with each class?
I'm always for trying to pick a different personality type. Most of my monks, they've changed personality quite often. Had a dumb pacifist, had a dumb person who wants to fight, had a somewhat less dumb person who had a very dark backstory, who did not trust anyone.
So in your opinion, you could play the same class over and over again just as long as you updated the personality of the character?
You could recycle your personalities and your characters. There is a limit on what you can do, but whether the story's tragic or if it's not tragic, I don't think the class should affect that.
Do you at least change up subclasses between each character, or do you usually go for the same one in that respect?
Oh, certainly. Change all the subclasses. Go everywhere except for a particular type of monk that I do not like and I cannot play it.
I would like just to bring attention to the fact that we went from discussing this to just roasting Brant for wanting to play monks.
It's his fault for being wrong.
I was actually going to comment that I actually pick a different class to give me a different sort of background, a different sort of perspective on the character. And so I can see where Brant, for example, enjoys the same class, because I assume it's because you then don't have to think up the class. You can then focus strictly on the personality. Whereas what I end up doing is I end up taking the class and building the personality off of that class. And so having a different class helps me get to a different personality.
Yeah, for me, it's I like to change. I like to have my personality almost dialed to a T. That is something that will affect me always down the road. Character choices, what they want to do.
I don't think I've ever repeated a class, and if I have, I haven't repeated a subclass. But I do reuse races, because I find that a lot of the racial abilities of other... I mostly play humans. Most non-human races, their racial abilities are not really what I'm looking for in my character, and so I take the raw stat increase over something that I maybe think about once or twice. But I don't reuse classes. I don't think I've reused personality types, really.
So then, what happens when you've played all the classes? What happens when you've played enough characters that you actually play enough classes?
I mean, I personally have been wanting for some time to set up different character concepts for every subclass. So at that point, that's just what I'd do, is I'd come up with a new subclass character, a new idea for a character, even if it's, the third fighter I've played. Maybe I haven't done the rune fighter?
I have played one of every class. I haven't played all the subclasses, but normally I've at least gotten in and done at least one of every single class. There are my favorites, but it always comes back to what does the team need at the time, and I'll play it. I don't really care. I build everything else off of a class. If it's a weird class with a fun subclass, you can build something fun off of that if they make it to level 3, and then I care about them.
As a person who has created a character based on every subclass that has been released so far and had them stacked away ready to use them at some point, I always end up playing something I'm comfortable with. It's always easy to fall back into playing something that you've done before or something that you understand. Like, I'm a sucker for rogues and paladins. And the few times that I step outside my comfort zone, I almost feel like I've done something wrong or I created this wrong. And I know normally it's just like, it's the character's mechanic that I'm just not comfortable with. I don't like being a squishy character, but I kind of agree with Brant on this one. I like going back to something that I'm much more comfortable with. That way I can create a fully customized character off of something that I'm already proficient in.
I've also noticed that Dungeons & Dragons, they've been trying to expand subclasses to the point to where you could probably stick to this class that you want, and the subclass could help be that finishing puzzle piece that makes the party as strong as they need to be to survive dungeons or survive anything.
I agree with that. I feel like almost every class right now is getting a healer mechanic. Almost every class is getting AoE. A lot of them are getting ranged. So it feels like they're making it a lot more acceptable for those classes that didn't normally get full customization to actually kind of play around in those areas now.
Well, on top of different classes getting healing features, there's also that feat that gives cure wounds with either charisma, wisdom, or intelligence, your choice.
Yeah, that's why it's always so good to keep up with the books and kind of like read what's going on. Because there are some amazing feats now. You can almost multi-class just off of taking feats.
So then it sounds like you're trying to mix up your characters. You're not playing the same character every time.
No, not the same one.
You're trying to mix up personality, mix up their role, but if you end up sticking with the same class, then so be it. It's just something that you know better. It's something that you're familiar with that you can kind of put off to the side and not have to think about.
Yeah, it's honestly, you could play the same race, same class, same background, and still come to the table with a different concept every time, just based on what the story is.
Alright, last call. You don't have to go home, but you can go to our channel and watch through our other episodes. Hit that like button if you like hearing our debates, and subscribe if you want to stay up to date on our antics. The links to our social media are in the description below. If you have anything you want us to discuss, leave a comment.